Welcome to African Novel Escapes. This is the first episode of Elijah the King of War. Kindly like and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories.
Elijah the King of War. Once upon a time there was a town in the eastern countries, where there was a man called Sahabi, and his wife was Mary. They live in a farmhouse. They are not very rich, and they are not so poor either. They have some livestock which they rear in their farm. The only thing that reduced their happiness in this world is the lack of children who will inherit them. Many years after they have been praying to God to give them a child, one day, Mary got pregnant. You couldn't believe the happiness that Mary and the husband Sahabi are. Since she was 4 months pregnant, Sahabi started preparing for the naming ceremony. One afternoon, Sahabi was working behind the house. In the field, he heard a noise up to 3 times from his house. He threw down the hoe he was working with and ran into the house. As he entered, he found out that what he was hoping to see. Mary has given birth to a bouncing baby boy. A week after, when the naming day came, people gathered at Sahabi's compound and made an enjoyable naming ceremony party, and Sahabi whispered the baby's name to be called Elijah. The child was almost growing, ready to be weaned. Then he got sick. Both his legs and arms were paralyzed. He stayed there always beside his bed. He can't go out anywhere, unless they get him up. His parents were very sad and annoyed with what their son turned up to. One day his parents went to the farm. There was no one in the house, but him alone, on his bed. He was thinking about how the world is. He was thinking about what he could do if he had legs. Then he heard people knocking at the door. Then Elijah answered, and they came in. They're 3 people, wearing Arab clothes like pilgrims. Each of them was holding a long counter, pulling it. They sat down. Elijah welcomed them, and they answered him with joy. Elijah took a good look at those people, and saw that they were not the kind of people he used to see. He thought that they were the kind of people that he often heard, that they were going from town to town preaching and calling for God's salvation. Those people asked Elijah if there was any food he could give them to eat. Elijah said, "It could be, but you people should look around if you may have found something and eat." "I can't afford to get up." They asked him what happened to him. He said, "This place where you saw me, since I was born, that's where I am. I have never even looked outside, talk less of going to the door. Even resting room, I used to be taken by my parents." Although those people were not human beings, they're angels. They were sent to test Elijah and heal him. Then one of them fetched water from a bucket, prayed and gave it to Elijah, and said, "Wash your face and body." Elijah took it with his one hand that was healthy and washed it. It's like the blink of an eye. He saw his body clearly, as if he has never been ill before. His legs and arms were recovered. Even if you didn't know him before, no one would think that Elijah had been ill before. He stretched out his legs from the bed, stood up before the angles, and thanked them. He happily went and got a milk for them. He kneeled down and gave it to one among them. This one bowed down and handed it to the other, until they drank it all around. Then their elder one handed it to Elijah and said, "You too drink." Elijah collected and drank. After a while, one of them said to Elijah, "How do you feel about your body now?" Elijah said, "I feel a new strength coming to me, that I feel like the ground could not even take me." Then their leader told Elijah to drink more milk again. After Elijah drank the milk, the angels said to him, "Well, Elijah, believe in the Holy King, follow his orders, and do everything he has instructed you to do. You will be better than all the people on this earth. Your name will be heard everywhere in the world. No matter how the difficulty, and no matter how dangerous it is, do not despair the words of your Lord." And this was certain writing, that you will not die in any battle, no matter how hard it will be. There is no one in this world who will win over you, except one person. His name is Wargaji. You will meet him in your journey, but do not fight with him at all. Now make up your mind and get prepaid, to city of Kib. Don't waste your time and energy in the farm, or in the garden. As they completed their talking, Elijah intended to ask the angels, but unfortunately they disappear. He was confused, his mind was raised, because he did not know the purpose of going to city of Kib. And the angels had disappeared and he did not ask them. He saw everything as if in a dream. When he got up, he regained his senses and raised his hand up and thanked God. He went to the farm where he found his parents had worked so tiredly and they were sleeping. He whispered to them, but they didn't get up. Then Elijah moved to where their axes are. He took one and looked at the big tree that his parents were sleeping under its shadow and cut it all. His parents are still sleeping. The sound of cutting and the falling of the tree did not make Elijah's parents wake up from their sleep. Then he took the rest of their axes and stuck it on the tree, then he hid and went back laughing. He said to himself, if they wake up, but they don't see their axes, they will be looking for it. When the heat of the sunlight hit them, they woke up in shock. They looked up and saw that the tree had been cutting, and they were surprised, because they are surely known that to cut that trees is not easy in a short period of time, like how they were resting, it will take at least 10 hours for 5 strong men to cut it all. They looked and saw no one, but their axes stuck at the tree. They tried very hard to remove the axe from the tree, but they couldn't. When Elijah saw that they failed to remove it, he came out laughing. He just put one hand and removed their axes from the tree. Seeing Elijah at that very moment made them very surprised and wondering how he removed the axes. The whole place was quiet. Elijah's parents kept their eyes on him, but they didn't recognize him very well. Because they know the kind of situation they left him at home. His father kept looking at him up and down. After all, he realized that it was their son, Elijah. His father, Mr. Sahabi, raised his head to heaven and thanked Almighty God for healing his son for him. Elijah's parents can't even say anything to him, but just surprising of who they are seeing. Then Elijah knelt down in their presence and narrated to them the whole story of what happened. He also told them that he can't be staying with them again, because he had been ordered to go to city of Kib. His parents were so happy seeing their son straighten up, but they were also sad on how he will be separated from them. Elijah knelt down again and lowered his voice, apologized to his parents, and spoke to them sweetly, so that their souls would be a little cooler. Then he asked for their forgiveness and said goodbye to them. From there he began his journey to the city of Kib. As he was walking to the city of Kib, he met a man pulling a small horse. Elijah asked the man if he would sell it to him. The man agreed, and they traded it at 50,000 naira. Elijah knew that he had no money with him, but in order not to be disappointed he just put his hand in his pocket, and found money inside. He took and paid for the horse. Then an idea came to him, that he thought it was better to go back home and take care of his little horse, after he trained him. Then he will continue his journey to the city of Kib. That's how he returned back to his parents' house. Elijah named his horse Lucky. He took care of him and trained him how to get used to hardships and endure of hunger. After 3 months, Lucky became a full study horse, which there is no one like him around the village. He was strong enough and knows how to shoot wind and ran very fast. He was more panic and dangerous than his master.
Thank you for staying with us. In the next episode you will hear how Elijah started his journey to the city of Kib. Don't forget to like this video and share your comments for more amazing stories. African Novel Escapes, the best English story channel.